You identify a fatal flaw in a colleague's project and present the errors with clinical clarity. Instead of a fix, you trigger a fracture. A single blunt critique shatters the system of cooperation. Conventional professional wisdom champions radical honesty as the peak of efficiency. It assumes the shortest path to a solution is an unfiltered, straight line of feedback. This logic dismisses workplace diplomacy, emotional buffering, and sugarcoating as administrative friction. In this view, anything other than raw data slows down the machine. Yet a recurring paradox emerges. Logically flawless, accurate critiques consistently derail projects and dissolve strategic alliances. This failure occurs because the speaker treats truth as the only variable. This calculation ignores the receiver's structural capacity to process the information. Advanced professional intelligence resides in the strategic management of reality. Imagine providing a colleague with an accurate, hard-won insight that solves their primary operational bottleneck. You expect your expertise to be met with gratitude. The actual result is alienation. The recipient becomes defensive, distances themselves from the project, and views you with newfound hostility. You might wonder if you were too direct or if you lack social grace. In reality, the facts were correct, but the delivery method was the point of systemic failure. The problem stems from treating telling the truth as a default, binary option. Raw truth is a specialized tool that requires specific conditions to function. Wielding facts like a blunt instrument damages the target and the wielder simultaneously. A rationalist might argue that if the data is accurate, the recipient is at fault for rejecting it. This ignores cognitive dissonance. Everyone maintains a cognitive core, interlocking beliefs providing psychological stability. When incompatible information strikes, the mind perceives a threat, deploying an instinctive firewall to repel foreign data. The brain protects its architecture, preserving its model by attacking the source of contradictory information. History favors the strategic advisor over the blunt one. While the honest advisor often faced execution for wounding a ruler's ego, the strategist feigned weakness and navigated the ruler's biases to achieve the desired policy outcome. A statement's objective validity matters little if the receiver lacks the cognitive architecture to safely absorb it. Many defend the straight shooter persona as a badge of authenticity and anti-political integrity, but redefine this unfiltered honesty as structural laziness. It is the act of offloading emotional labor onto others. The sender achieves immediate psychological catharsis. They get the information off their chest and enjoy the internal satisfaction of being right. The sender then abandons the resulting wreckage. This forces the receiver to pay the full cost of emotional regulation and relational repair. The street shooter optimizes for personal comfort at the expense of the organizational system. This raises a question. If radical honesty is a failure, is the only alternative a lie? The solution is the truth stratification protocol. On the broad base, strangers, the system operates on politeness. For operational acquaintances, release general opinions. Deep feelings become viable in the third tier, requiring established trust. Absolute truth belongs at the apex, meant solely for internal dialogue. Misapplying these levels creates a summer insect mismatch. Applying apex-level truth to a base-level relationship, like dumping systemic cynicism onto a new hire, is perceived as an attack. Maturity involves recognizing who has the equipment to handle your core truths. How do you transmit critical data if direct delivery triggers a cognitive firewall? First, maximize the psychological safety baseline. Because truth often threatens a person's sense of security, you must establish an artificial surplus of safety before deployment. Second, apply Socratic distance. Instead of a direct collision, use a curved path that leads the receiver toward the data. By using questions and situational stories instead of declarations, you prompt the receiver to generate the insight internally. An insight discovered internally is adopted as personal knowledge. An insight forced from the outside is rejected as an invasion. If the metric for success is the survival of the project or the alliance, then bluntness is a failed strategy. The operational circuit is clear. A raw truth signal passes through a safety modulator and a distance filter to reach the final objective without short-circuiting the receiver. This process translates truth into a frequency the recipient's hardware can actually process. Professional integrity involves ensuring a message survives the journey to the other person's mind. Move away from the binary toggle of honest versus dishonest. Information sharing is an exercise in respecting the recipient's psychological architecture. Intelligence manifests as the ability to maintain a productive distance between two colliding realities. View truth as a raw, unpolished material. It requires careful, intentional refinement to become a precise, multifaceted jewel. Manage your truth strategically rather than dumping it indiscriminately.